you go. Now you know.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new, hey bunnies, how's it going? So today's video is going to be very different than any other video that I have put on this channel. This story that I'm going to share with you guys is definitely a story that is very sensitive, even to this day still. Frankly, it's my business. It's a secret that I've kept from lots of people. Only the people in my inner circle know about this part of my life. But I figured it's time to share my story. You may never know who might hear your story or see your story and they resonate with it, and maybe it could help them or whatever, or possibly change their lives for the better, for worse, who knows? I don't know. But I figured this is the time. Like I said in my other videos, I'm turning 30 next year, and it's something about turning 30 that just has me being a little retrospective, not in a way that's crippling, because you can't look at the past. You can't live in the past, you have to live in the now. But the beauty with the past is that you're able to look at the mistakes that you made. You're able to, really analyze the things that you went through and learn from them and grow from them and move differently because you've experienced that. So with that being said, sometimes there are some moments where I think about the story that I'm going to tell you. So with that being said, today I'm going to be telling you the story of how I survived being in a domestic violence relationship. Like I said, this is a story that I've never shared. I figured if I was finally ready to share my story, why not do it on my platform? And like I said, sharing my story, who knows what could happen from it. At the end of the day, if it changed someone's life for the better because they heard my story and saw the signs and it helped them get out, that's honestly the best thing that could happen from this video. But regardless, I just wanted to share my story because it's been very heavy on my chest, and I think it's time. So I'm not just sharing my story, I'm also going to be telling you guys the signs that were there that I completely missed. And maybe if you're going through what I'm going to be talking about, you may see signs, or you haven't seen them, but now after you watch this video, you've now seen the signs and you'll be able to walk away. And I'm also going to be talking about what I would have done differently. Like I said, at the end of the day, I just want to share my story. And if you guys want to listen to the story in full, make sure to watch to the end of the video, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you guys are always notified on when I upload. I upload every single Monday, and I upload shorts every single day. So with all that being said, let's get to the story. So if you guys have watched my older videos, I have said here and there that the way that I grew up was, I lived in a predominantly white area, so I experienced a lot of racism, and or I experienced not really having any type of romantic relationships when it came to Black men. So I honestly just felt like an ugly duckling growing up. And with that, it's so sad because you grow up, you start feeling so insecure, and you grow up comparing yourself, and you kind of just come to the conclusion that I am what people say that I am, and I'm absolutely not. And it's really sad too, because I grew up with a mother who constantly told me that I was beautiful and that I was a chocolate drop. But it's something about, even though if you're getting that in your household, once you step out of your house and you're in your little middle school, high school bubble, that's all that you know. And if the people who are my peers are telling me that I look like this and I'm not desirable, and then you see that they go for women who basically look like the opposite of you. Like I said, you naturally as a little kid just start to develop those feelings into facts, and it's just not true. But that's what my life was. And after I graduated high school, I came back to Los Angeles, and mind you, I lived in the buttfuck of nowhere. I basically lived in the country. So when I came to the city, I was kind of overwhelmed with the flirtation that I was getting, I was meeting men who were love bombing me and didn't realize that this is just a tactic that they use to get in my pants or to whatever, I was just completely bombarded with. I am now in the city, and I got options now, and I still wasn't making good decisions when it came to dealing with men because I was so green. Like, I was so innocent. I did not know anything. So to come out here and kind of get tossed up with you know, like niggas like that. I just didn't see it coming at all, you know. And plus too, I always say I grew up like as the Cosbys, or I grew up in the Brady Bunch, you know, like I grew up in a 2-parent household. We didn't really curse and stuff like that, you know, so I was a good girl. And so I felt like the guys smelt that. They smelt that and they wanted to take advantage of that. But, you know, I just chalked it up to like, of course I'm nice. And, you know, and I just want to give love to everybody. You can't be like that. You can't be like that. You have to be on guard. That's why so many women become closed off and they have this wall, because nice girls, nice guys finish last. I'm not going to say that that's true, but when you're nice and you don't have that wall up, you don't have that guard up, you're going to end up manifesting people who can smell that innocence off of you and just wants to take advantage of that. It's really sad. I mean, I wish you could manifest good people who see you're also a good person and they just, let's do this good thing together, but that's not how it was. And like I said, you know, I kissed a few frogs, and then finally I ended up meeting my first ever boyfriend. This is when I was 19 years old or so. You know, I liked him. He was cute, but he just, you know, to put it blatant, he wasn't the guy for me. It was not gonna work out. And so whilst I was in that relationship, I ended up meeting my ex-husband. And for the sake of this story, let's call my ex-husband Darren. Okay, so we'll call him ex-husband. His name is Darren. So like I said, I met Darren at the gym. Darren ended up being a friend of one of my closest friends' family. And we were kind of like shocked that, wow, so in theory we've been kind of connected all of our lives, but we just never met each other until now. And you know, we thought that that was cool. We didn't really talk immediately because I was in a relationship, but for whatever reason, we ended up coming back into contact with each other where he was actively trying to date me. The first thing that I noticed about him was that he had a really big go-getter energy, and I've always been a go-getter. I've always had tenacity. I've always had drive. So, and also too, the guy that I was dating at the time when I had met Darren, he had no drive. So it's kind of like the grass is greener on the other side. You know, I'm meeting this person. He's about 7 years older than me too. So he's older and I like older men. Well, you know, he swooned me. It was definitely a thing. And also I just want to preface by saying this: I don't condone cheating. I am not a cheater. I cheated in that relationship because I was young, I was dumb, I didn't know any better, I didn't speak up or use my voice. Actually, cut that. I, Nastasia Jones, have always been vocal. I've always been a communicator. So absolutely, I expressed whatever I was feeling negatively in that relationship with my first boyfriend, but he didn't listen, he didn't care, he didn't whatever. And so instead of getting out of a relationship, instead of breaking up with him, I cheated on him by talking to my ex-husband, Darren. So Darren picked me up and we went on our first date. Our first date was really nice. We had so much chemistry. It was absolutely mind-blowing. I knew when I first met him that, oh, he about to be my man. Like, I was very for sure. But the thing with that is that he felt the same way too. Like, we both were sprung. We both were just enamored with this soon to be love, but with this excitement that we're sharing with each other. I mean, it was just, as soon as we met each other, we just couldn't get enough of each other. And as far as he knows, I'm single, but you know, everything that happens in the dark comes out to the light. And my boyfriend was living with me at the time. He ended up going through my phone. I guess that he felt something and wanted confirmation on whatever he felt and found what he was looking for. And I guess he ended up having a conversation with Darren, like, hey, did you know that Nastasia's in a relationship? You know, like, I'm her boyfriend, like, what's going on? And you know, I found this out later. They ended up talking and it spooked my ex-husband. It spooked Darren. He was like, oh God. Obviously I wake up and find out that all this happened. So I'm like devastated for one. And it's so sad because I'm not even devastated that he found out. I was devastated because I thought that this was gonna like fuck up my chance to be with Darren. So mad, so nasty, so bad. But at the time I felt like, you don't want to listen. You just, So I had to, but I didn't have to. I didn't have to cheat on him. I could have broken up with him and then started with Darren, but that's just how it started, and that's what it was. I don't know how everything went down, but I ended up seeing Darren again, and by this time I had finally broken up with my ex, with my boyfriend that was living with me at the time. And so, you know, I apologized to him. I let him know basically the circumstances, what was going on. I was unhappy, and I met you and you made me happy, and you showed me a kind of life that I could have with a partner, of a true teammate, a true partner. Those were the vibes that my ex-husband Darren was giving me, you know, very like me and you against the world. You know, he was also an aspiring rapper and I was a singer, so we would always be like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, we wanted the same things. Like, we wanted the same things. And so it was just like I said, this spark that was just undeniable. And so, you know, he actually forgave me and we started dating after that. And once we started dating, it took off so fast, so extreme, but I was in love, and I just wanted to be in love and just live my life with Darren and just see where this goes. So let's say all of this happened from October to December of 2016. I am 20 years old. He is 27, 28. We finally made it official in December. So we went into the new year as a couple. And so from December of 2016 to March of 2017, we were dating. We were in that relationship, and it was amazing. In March, we were spending time together at my house, and he just proposed. I'll say this, he didn't have a ring, he didn't have shit, but we were just so young and so in the moment, and was just like, we want the same things. You're the love of my life. Let's just get married. And of course, you know, I'm young. I'm very like, Daddy, I love him. Like, just very that, you know. And of course, I see this as like, you know, oh my God. And immediately we started looking at ways to get married. We knew that we were going to go to Vegas and get eloped. I was going to be turning 21 in April. So it made sense to, in the next month, go to Vegas for my birthday, but we're going to go to one of the little chapels and get married. So we had made that plan. Mind you, I'm living with my father. Like, my father doesn't know anything about this. Like, and I'm a daddy's girl. So the fact that like all of this is happening and my dad's not involved, like, stupid shady. And honestly, sign number one is that he actively, whilst in my relationship from the start, was separating me from the people who loved me. We're gonna come back to that because it's a part of narcissism, and we'll come back to that. So I was gonna go and get hitched. I was gonna go and get eloped, but I was so excited for it. I wanted it. I was so ready. I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this person. So let's go do it. The thing is, about 2 weeks before I was gonna get married, we went to his family's home. I'm not going to put all his business out there, but I'll say this. He doesn't really have a good relationship with either of his parents, and that has royally fucked him up, even if he doesn't think that it has, but it has. And he ended up getting into an argument with his mother, and it was so bad to the point where, you know, I'm sitting in the car waiting for him. So he comes in the car very heated, huffing and puffing. It's just going through it, you know. And of course, as his fiance, I'm there for him, and I'm, you know, sitting in the driver's seat looking at him, just, you know, giving him some space, but obviously, you know, are you okay? And as soon as I had asked him if he's okay, he blew up on me like, yes, I'm okay. Like that scared me. Like, yeah, I know that you're upset, but I saw him snap for the first time. I had never even seen him angry before. And I'm seeing him snap, and he just snapped on them, and now he's here snapping on me. And that was a sign. That was a sign. That was him showing me what I was gonna endure for the rest of our relationship, is anger. But I just chopped it up to, you know, yeah, he just went through it with his mom right now, and he's just angry. And, you know, I just tried to justify it. In that moment, he, I guess, saw my face and immediately was apologetic. But I was like, don't you ever fucking talk to me like that ever again, or I'm not gonna be with you. And I meant it. Like, you know, even though I was who I was at that time, I've always been someone who is like, you know, like, don't fuck with me. But even with that, I don't keep my foot down. I could put my foot down, but I never keep it down. Because putting your foot down is saying what I said. If you talk to me like that again, you're out of here. But then keeping your foot down is actually doing it when they do it, not staying and justifying it or being like, oh, we love each other, like, let's just work it out. There's nothing to work out. You already said what's gonna happen if you do it again. They did it and you didn't do that. And then I just want to say that too, when you don't stand your ground, when you don't keep your foot down, it lets that person know that all they have to do is apologize or whatever, show a gesture, and then you can take them back, and then their respect for you lowers and lowers and lowers, and you don't want that. So that is just another tip. So, you know, that day was that day, but we ended up moving on from it, and then we ended up going to Vegas to get married. It's so crazy because I was happy, but there was also a part of me that was just like, this is not what I dreamed of as a little girl. Like, when I dreamed of my wedding, I dreamed of my father giving me away and my mom being there, my family, and, you know, and that just wasn't what it was. It was like, it was us by ourselves and the people who throw the wedding for you, and it was literally just us. Like, I felt like we were on the run or something, and like I said, I live with my dad. Like, I'm a daddy's girl, so it just felt like it wasn't necessary. He didn't go to my dad and ask him. He didn't do any of that shit. And honestly, the real men for me would do that. They would be afraid of my dad. You know, that was another sign too, that there was just no respect for my family values, my core values. But I mean, if I'm going along for the ride, that's not his fault. I'm going along for the ride, so this is what I want too. But, you know, we ended up going through with the wedding, and it was nice. I mean, at that time, I'm in love with him, so we make it a good time. We're in Vegas for that weekend, and then we come back. I don't know how my dad found out, but he found out. Maybe like the marriage certificate came in the mail or something, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And I'm also not going to tell me my dad's business, but the last thing I needed to do was get married, because my father does not know this man, and we don't need him infiltrating things. I'll just say that. And like I said, he didn't do it in a respectful way. He didn't come to my dad and ask for my hand or anything. We just got eloped. Like, Nastasha, you're smarter than that. And I was. But like I said, when you're young and dumb and in love, whatever you've learned, and especially like in the hands of a narcissist, the actions that you make, you don't understand. Now we're married. Okay, so now we're married. At one point, I don't even know why my dad let him, but he ended up slowly but surely moving in. A grown man is under my dad's roof. To this day, there are so many moments with my dad where I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I know that he did it because he loves me, but it's sick to think that it's like, you know, plus too, my ex-husband, he didn't really have family like that. Like, he was kind of estranged. He was kind of like the black sheep. You know, his family was very low vibrational, kind of hood, kind of ghetto. And he woke up one day and gained consciousness and realized that he was asleep this whole time, and he wanted to change his life, and he wanted to go, you know, he became that. And I was enamored with that. I was enamored with, you know, you woke up and you have this level of consciousness and you want to, you know, create the life that you want for yourself. And now, you know, he would say things like, you know, I dreamt of you, and like, I just can't believe I manifested you. Like, it was just that. It was all of that, right? But you know, whilst we're living together now, it was just like this weird dynamic of, you know, the thing with Darren is that he wanted to be the big man. He had that big man complex, but he wasn't a man. You living under this man's roof with his daughter that you disrespected by not asking for the hand. It's not like you cut the grass outside. It's not like you take out the trash. It's not like you know, but you want to be big man. And also too, I have to say that I'm an Aries. I'm a fire personality. I'm a very strong person. So to weak men who are weak, or to weak men who think that they're strong but they're weak, I will emasculate you. So a lot of arguments came from him feeling emasculated, but it was just like, well, if you were a real fucking man, you wouldn't feel emasculated. You know, another thing that was huge in our relationship was at the time that I had met him, mind you, I was 20 years old when I met him. He had a 5-year-old daughter. So I was low-key kind of like playing house, playing stepmom, playing mom. You know, she would stay with us sometimes. And in the beginning, I loved it, you know, because it was like, I love him and like his daughter. Then I love his daughter. And then slowly but surely in our relationship, I ended up realizing like, and this is so hard, you know, if you ever experienced this, is like being a stepmom or like, you know, going into that life when you weren't ready. Definitely let me know in the comments how you went through it, because like I said, I thought that I loved her, and then over time I realized I don't love her. I just was moving fast and I was just going with the flow, but I actually don't want this. I'm 21 years old. You know, I'm young. I have my whole life ahead of me. I don't have children. Like, I don't think that I'm truly ready for this. And whilst in my relationship with him, you can't tell him that. I can't talk to him about, hey, you know, your daughter, I don't really want her around. You can't have those conversations. And that's why people in my position don't really say anything about it, because, okay, and what am I supposed to do with that information? You know, him telling me that, okay, what am I supposed to do with this information? You're my wife, you know, she's my daughter. I'm not going to choose. And even if I did have to choose, I'm choosing my daughter. And there were some times where I was like, well, choose her. Like, oh, you know, like wanting it to be like a cop out. Like, I felt like from the beginning of the relationship, because of the little ticks that he had, I knew that like, I don't know if this is going to be it, but like I said, I was so sprung and I just wanted to make it work. And that's another reason why I had said in one of my other videos that I've made that take your time before you get married, because once you're married, I feel like you put up with a lot of more stuff than you would have put up with if that person was just your boyfriend or just your girlfriend. Now you're married, and so now you have to work it out. And me trying to always work it out, I feel like it just made the relationship worse. The abuse came in when he would just start getting fed up. He would start getting fed up about life, about what we were going through. The signs were there early. The signs were there early. It wasn't bad at first, but it would be like we would argue, and then, you know, when he would argue, he would snap. Like I would call him Hulk. Like, he would turn into a completely different person. His eyes would go black. He would become extremely scary. And at that time of my life, I was like Mother Teresa. Like, I didn't grow up with that. Like, I just want love, and I want peace, and I just want to be loved, and I just want to give you peace, but you don't know how to regulate your anger. And, you know, I would just let him just really verbally abuse the shit out of me. I would just let him. It's insane. I remember there was one, and it's sad too, because I ended up noticing too that in the relationship, he started to become jealous. You know, like I told you, he was a rapper and I was a singer. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn or to anything like that, but if you were to put me and him in the same room as artists, my star shines brighter than him. If you guys could look into like Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, like how that dynamic was for them, like that's what it felt like. Like Whitney Houston was the bigger star, and you could tell that Bobby didn't like that, or his star was dimming, but Whitney saw that and would want to overcompensate. So I remember there was like a video that I saw of them, and like the reporters are like, you know, Whitney Houston, and then Bobby is drunk like, no, that's Mrs. Brown, and she's like, yeah, it's Whitney Brown. And everybody's like, bitch, no, you're Whitney Houston, what the fuck? But I understand, like, that's what I was doing. I was dimming my shine for this person because we were in competition with each other. I thought we were teammates, but we were actually in competition with each other. And if there was at any time he saw that my star was shining brighter, he would always do something that would ruin the day. I remember I had a performance, and it was a big performance. I mean, I had gotten off a stage and people were like rushing the stage, coming to me, like wanting to get my Instagram, wanting to get my autograph. Like it was, bitch, I felt famous. It was beautiful. And he had my camera equipment and he was supposed to be filming this. Like, can you film, husband, can you film my performance, and can you like film anything and everything that happens after that? That's literally what his role was as my husband who came with me. Like, you wouldn't even think, it's not even a thought. Of course I'll film you. Like, yeah, I'm happy to do this. I get off stage, and once the, you know, crowd settles, I'm looking around for him and he's not there. And I go outside, because mind you too, he had my purse that had my phone, my keys, he had my camera equipment, so he has everything. And so I go outside and I go to the car and I see he's leaning on the car. And I'm like, what are you doing out here? This man looked at me and was like, I'm not your camera boy. And in that moment I had realized, oh, okay, you feel some type of way because you saw that brilliance, that amazingness, and you felt some type of way about it, and you thought that you were just a camera boy. What? When did supporting your partner be you're a camera boy, or you're a caddy, or you're insane? And of course that completely shut down the rest of the night. We ended up leaving, fought that whole night, and it was just a mess. He was someone who would argue and would break things. He's broken mirrors, he's broken laptops, he has been destructive. And then, you know, he would come out of that blackout and then would apologize. And because I loved him so much, I would allow him to apologize and we'll let him back in and would just be like, okay, like, we'll just work through this. He realized that he was an angry person, and so, you know, I'm like, whatever we need to do, like, what do we need to do to heal you? But I'll be here to help you, but you just can't live life like this. Still pouring myself into him when he does not deserve it. It went from, you know, isolating me to us verbally arguing to then him putting his hands on me. We would argue, and you know, I wear wigs. He would like snatch my wig off my head. And if we were driving, you know, I would let him drive my car because I didn't want to drive, and I wanted him to drive, but he doesn't have a car. So he's like, I mean, he was just a fucking loser. He lives with me. He ain't got his own car. He ain't got shit, but he wants to be the fucking man. You know, there'd be times when he would take the key of my car and would run and would leave me stranded. And I would just be sitting there like, God, help me. Like, how did I get here? I just wanted to love him. I just wanted to be loved. I was so insecure. I didn't know my worth. It got so bad one day that we were arguing, and this is the sad part too, because, you know, like I said, I was a good girl and I was Mother Teresa, but the more that I was around him, I was actually starting to be like him. Like, okay, well, if you want to fucking fight, like, then let's go there. And it's so sad because it's like, that's not who I was. But instead of breaking up with him, I fought fire with fire, and I was never gonna win. So me now escalating the position was now going to put me in a situation where now he's not going to just put his hands on me. He's probably going to try to fucking kill me. There was one day when we were fighting and I threw a plate at him. He had like a deep wound, a deep cut. He was bleeding everywhere. And then of course, you know, once you see that there was actual consequences of actions, you snap out of it. And so immediately I'm trying to like help him, like, you know, he's in shock. And then we ended up just going to the hospital, stupidly made up in the hospital. Just toxic. We tell our families that he like fell on a table or some dumb shit like that. It was bad, and it like fucked me up because even though he was putting his hands on me, there was no physical damage as far as like, you know, there weren't like stupid bruises and stuff like that, you know. It just would hurt me, but I never put my hands on him. And the one time that I did retaliate, you know, I cut him and he was in the hospital and had to get stitches. And that fucked me up because I was like looking at myself like with blood on my hands, like, what did I do? You know, but I was just, and it doesn't justify it, but I was just sick. I was over it. I was just done. We continued to move on, you know. There was, I can't really keep track of timing anymore. I just want to say that we were married from 2017 to, and then we separated February of 2020. So all of this is going on in a span of you know, us being together on and off for 3 years. I remember there was one time, it was a New Year's, it was maybe either December of 2017 or December of 2018, I can't remember, but it was very early in our relationship, so it was probably that first year. We ended up going to a New Year's party, and I got belligerent drunk. I mean, I was young at this time. I didn't know how to handle my alcohol or anything like that. We ended up picking 2 of his homegirls up. We all went to this party. Everybody knows I'm queer, I'm bisexual, so I love women. He does as well. Well, he knows that I'm bisexual. I ended up seeing this woman at the party with the biggest breasts I've ever seen in my life. And I wasn't like attracted to her or anything. I kind of like drunkenly looked at her like an attraction. Like, bitch, look how big your titties are. This is insane. So we ended up going into the bathroom where I'm like gawking at her and we're just having a good time. Like, we're just girls. We're girls in the powder room getting ourselves together. But at the same time, I'm like, girl, I'm something else, you know, like just, you know. And I don't know what happened. I guess someone ended up telling him like, yo, you know, your girl is in the bathroom. And I didn't realize she had locked the doors, which I mean, makes sense for in the bathroom, but nonetheless, you know, your girl's in the bathroom with another girl and the door's locked. And so I hear a knock, open the door, it's him. And there's a bunch of people that are next to him at this party, like, ooh, like instigating. And, you know, I'm drunk at this point. So I'll come out like, what is the fucking, like, what is going on? He's pissed because he's like, what are you doing in the bathroom? Like I said, he knows that I'm bisexual. So, you know, it's funny because with men, you know, they think when they hear that women are bisexual, they're like, yeah, you know, they like it. But then when they really think about it, they realize that, oh, well, then there's like another chance that she may leave me. You know, there's a chance that she might leave me for a man, and then I also have to be checking out these bitches, you know. But I was never gonna cheat on him. I was never gonna leave him. These are just the insecurities that he had. And also too, I wasn't doing anything, but I mean, I understand that optically it looked crazy. Like, what are you doing with this big titty bitch in this bathroom with the door? Like, I understand, but and because I understand, I was apologetic. I was like, oh my God, you know, like I didn't do anything. I didn't mean anything. But by that point, I was so drunk. I was so, you know, the ball dropped. It's officially New Year's. I'm throwing up on the sidewalk. The party is kind of like over at this point. And he's like looking at me like just so disappointed, just so over it. But hey, what are you gonna do? Whatever. I was 21 years old. What the fuck? So we gotta go home. I drove there. And let me just say this. Anytime that we talk about driving somewhere or anything like that, it's always going to be me in my car. Okay? He never had a car in our relationship. Bum ass nigga. So like I said, we ended up picking up his two homegirls, but the two homegirls ended up coming home with us for whatever reason. Honestly, now that I look back, for whatever reason, I guess that they didn't want the party to end. And so all of them end up getting me inside the room, putting me to bed, and I go to sleep fucked up, wake up the next morning to him sitting next to me. And, you know, obviously I know we fought last night, and like, who wants to come into the new year arguing with their partner? Like, so I was so apologetic, like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just want to be like, I'm telling you, I didn't do anything, but I'm sorry that I embarrassed you, and just going on and on and on. He was looking at me like if he was disappointed, but, you know, he was just like, it's okay, you know, it's okay. You want anything to eat, I'll go get us some breakfast. I'm sure you had a hangover. Was like doing that, you know, was still taking care of me. And then that made me feel even more guilty because I'm like, oh my God, you know, you know, I did this to him and then he forgives me and then now he's gonna bring me breakfast. Like, oh my God. So, you know, that was that. I'm telling a story, so just stay with me. You're gonna hear the ending soon. Within this year, life is what it is. We're together. We go through fights. We're together. We go through fights. Finally, in August of that year, one of those girls who had came with us, let's say her name is Jessica. Jessica, for whatever reason, I ended up being friends with her. So I started a friendship with Jessica, who was one of the girls who came back with us on New Year's. And Jessica ends up dating Darren, my ex-husband's friend. So there's a point, literally for 4 months, from August to December, we are all hanging out as a foursome. I mean, we are doing everything together. We are all best friends. We talking about going on trips together. I'm like, yes, like I've always wanted something like that. Like me and my man, and then like his friend, and like, and we're just the couples. Like I've always liked stuff like that. So I was completely like falling in love with Jessica. Like I loved our friendship. She was my girl. And I just loved this dynamic. And, you know, there was one day where, you know, now I feel like we're close enough. I can actually share what's going through in my life with her. And I remember just one day I told her, like, you know, he beats me and we fight all the time and he just treats me like shit. And of course, she's my girl. She's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you're going through this. Like, you are so beautiful. Like, you don't deserve this. Like, fuck that nigga. Like, I mean, being my friend. And I wanted to leave. But I was so scared. I was so scared that if I left, that man would come and kill me. Like, I was so scared. And then there was also a part of me that was still so in love. So I really didn't know what to do, but I knew that I wanted to talk to my friend about it. You know, I would drop him off at work and I'd be like, okay, you know, I'm going to Jessica's house. And he'd be like, okay, have a good time. But I remember there would always be like some feel like, it would like the energy, it would feel like he's uneasy. And I don't know why, but that's just like what it was. Like when we would hang out all together, that's one thing. But when I would just like go and like drop him off at work and then like go and hang out with her, I would get that energy from him. He would be like, okay, have fun, but it would be uneasy. So we've done all of this for 4 months. Me and Jessica have now been friends from August, September, October, November, December, all of that time, right? And it's around December now. Literally a year from the first time that I had met her. And we're coming up on New Year's again. For whatever reason, once again, me and him had gotten into an argument. I think like the week before, we got into an argument so bad that he ended up busting out my windows of my car. And actually it was my dad's car because my car was in the shop. So busted out those windows and then fucked up the windshield. So the windshield has a crack and the passenger side window is completely busted out, glass everywhere. And we were psychos. We ended up making up like 10 minutes after that. Just ridiculous. You know, a week goes by after that argument and we're having another argument. And whilst we're arguing and going back and forth and all of that stuff, he's like, that's why I fucked your friend. Mind you, he had isolated me from so many people. So I didn't have really that many friends. And the friends that I did have, they were all gay men. So I'm like, I know you're not talking about my gay men friends. So who the fuck? And then it clicked. And I was like, Jessica? I ended up calling Jessica completely just a mess. Like, tell me, is it true? Did you guys fuck? And immediately she started bawling and my world was just shattered. So what ended up happening was after they all put me to bed on New Year's of last year, Darren, Jessica, and their mutual friend, they're all sitting in my living room. And mind you, my dad is asleep in the back of the house. So at any time my dad could have came in and saw everything, but you know, maybe I could say by the grace of God, I don't know, but he never came out. They were alone in the living room. Come to find out, the mutual friend, she ended up dozing off or going to sleep or something. I don't know, or she ended up going home, something. So now it's just Darren and Jessica. And this is from what he ended up telling me and from what she ended up telling me. They were talking about their relationships. He was talking about how angry he was with me. I don't know if he necessarily saw what I did as cheating. I don't know, but he was just upset at me that I did that. And then I guess to relate to him, she was talking about whatever her ex-boyfriend had done. Mind you, I don't know her. I just met her that night, but me and her didn't even really kiki like that. So it's not like she has any loyalty to me or anything like that. I'm not saying that she has to or that she doesn't, but honestly, even looking back, bitch, I'm a woman. You know this man is married and y'all literally just put me to bed. Like, that is some stank shit, okay? And he stank too. I guess that they started relating so much that they ended up looking at each other and was feeling whatever that they was feeling, and they kissed and they ended up having sex right there outside of my room in the living room. And that's what happened. And I think that he ended up taking her home in my car and came back, went to sleep. And then fast forward to the next morning when I wake up, like I told you, feeling like shit, feeling sorry. And then he's looking at me like, yeah, you should be sorry. Like just doing that to me, making me feel worse about this thing that I did, not even knowing that he had fucked some girl right there. So he officially cheated on me. And now fast forward to him finally telling me. So he kept that secret for a year. And then, you know, it was New Year's all the way into August. I still didn't have a relationship with Jessica. I still didn't know her. In April, we started that friendship. And then from April to December, that's when we were becoming best friends. And they knew. And so you can't help but start going back in time and like thinking about like all the times that we spent time together and both of y'all knew I'm becoming best friends with you. you know, it's something about when you have girlfriends, when you have friends, like sometimes you fucking love them more than you love your man. Like your relationship is stronger than whatever you have with your man, because friendships, like real true girlhood, girl friendships, best friendships, like, and I was building that with her, and it was so sick too, because she was like, I feel the same way, like I love you, like you are my best friend, I just didn't know how to, you know, telling me all that. And I was devastated. I got fucked up that night, you know. It was just terrible. It was so terrible. I was never friends with her after that, but it was sick because I stayed in a relationship with him, and I hate it when people do that. Like, if you're gonna sever the friendship, you should sever the relationship too. Like, I think it's a cop-out. But I really feel like that was the beginning of the end, because I mean, we were still together for like a year and 3 months after that, but that last year that we were together was bad. I mean, more fights where he's taking my keys and leaving me stranded, more fights where he's taking off my wig and putting his hands on me. There was a time when, you know, we were fighting outside my house, and I had to go to a neighbor's house to get help, but I live in the hood, so I don't know if the person was scared for their life, but I ended up hearing like a cock, like a gun. And the person behind their locked door was like, get the fuck away from my house or I'm calling the cops and I'm gonna kill you. So, you know, in my state of like, I just need help, I couldn't get help. He broke mirrors that were in my house, stomped on my laptop, just ruined my life. Ruined my life. I remember there was a time when I was at work and I guess he stalked me, and I eventually ended up getting video footage of it, but he ended up stalking me, coming to my friend's house, waiting for someone to drive out of the parking garage so he can walk in, and for 10 minutes he broke my side mirrors and my windshield wipers. And I had a BMW, so they were sturdy, they weren't just like, you know, so that's why it took 10 minutes. He was fucking struggling. And of course, you know, I walk out from my job into the parking garage and see that my car is just completely fucked up. There was a time when I was at his home, his family's home, and you know, at this point his family doesn't fuck with me because they know that we fight all the time. I don't think that they necessarily know that it's him. It's him that's starting all of this and that does all of this, but regardless, they're going to be there for their boy. A house full of women. But he ended up sneaking me in one day, and we ended up getting to a huge fight. And of course, you know, we have to be silent. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't want to wake anybody up. I'm not supposed to be here. And he ended up putting me in a headlock and was choking me out. And at this time too, it was so fucked up because me and my dad, I got into like our one and only huge fight. So I wasn't living here anymore. I was living in my car, going to work, and needed him. So I snuck in, and we got into a fight, and he put me in a headlock and choked me. And I thought I was gonna die. And I guess that's so much commotion had started. And, you know, his family wakes up, turns on the lights, is like, what's going on? And they see him putting his hands on me. And obviously they're just like, stop, like, what are you doing? And now I'm on the floor, like on my back, and he grabs me by my hair and pulls me out into the living room and then out the door and just like swings me out. And just how humiliating. Those women didn't come and check up on me at all. I think that they were more so like, they didn't want any of this, so they were just like, just go. Like they didn't want the commotion, so they were just like, just go. And I slept in my car that night and had to go to work the next morning. And it was so sick because it was like I just couldn't leave. I couldn't stop. He was all that I knew. Even through all of this, like, it's so sad. It's so sad. And you know, like I said earlier, the signs were all there. His anger was so prominent. It was just such a thing. He would tell me, like, he would literally tell me to my face, like, if you keep on keeping on, like, I'll kill you. So the signs are there. If you see the signs, like, if another tip, if somebody says that they're gonna kill you, believe them. By the grace of God, I'm still here. But, and two, another tip, dealing with people who can put their hands on you, especially in public, I don't think it's the best thing to fight back, because you're only going to fire them up more. And anytime that I did fight back, it was hell. I was so afraid of him. I was so afraid of him. There were so many times where he put his hands on me. So many times where he verbally abused me. So like I said, you know, he was all that I knew. So it was really an uncomfortable space to be in, because it's like, you know that you shouldn't be in this because you respect yourself and you love yourself. And you know, I grew up watching, you know, Medea's Family Reunion, where it's like, get the skillet with the hot grits, and you know, but it's another thing to be in it. I think one of the biggest tips to share too is that you need community. When you're in a domestic violent relationship, the number one thing that a narcissist wants to do is pull you away from the people who love you, because they don't want you to have sense. They want to just, they are your complete world, and you're going to be completely suffocated with that, to where you have nowhere to turn. So I basically did that with him on and off for years. You know, we would be together, it would be fine, and then he would get angry about something and we would fight, and the fights would be devastating, and we would probably take a day or two apart, and we would get back together, and it would just be the same thing over and over and over again. And it was just really sad, because I knew that I wanted more, but he's all that I knew. And then also just everything that I had went through as a kid, you know, just feeling completely discarded by people who I maybe wanted romantic relationships with. And then to now be accepted, to now be loved by this person, to now be wanted. You grasp onto that and you want that forever. And you're like, I can't see life without this person. So it became finally a wrap when, because you know, like I told you, I moved out of my dad's house and I was living in my car and was, you know, sneaking into his home, but then we get into fights, and so like now I'm banned. And so I finally, after another incident where something really bad happened in that house, and I called my dad, and I was just like, I can't, like I just told him in like this blubbering stutter that everything that he did to me and everything that I was going through. And of course my dad is my dad, and I love him and he loves me, and he's like, come home, like just come home. And I've been back ever since. And you know, I wanted nothing to do with him, and finally, by the grace of God, I was able to finally leave that relationship, and we've been divorced ever since that. I think the hardest part about that relationship sometimes that I think about is that the mother of his child ended up calling me months after that, and for whatever reason, she ended up telling me everything that she had went through. She went through the same exact thing that I had went through. And funny enough, there was a part of me who was upset at her for not warning me, but that's not her job. That's not her job to warn me. If anything, she's probably like, oh, good riddance, you know, go to somebody else. But, you know, I was with her daughter. We would all be together as a family. And so there would just be parts of me where I wish she would have let me know. But then I also could have just told her what I was going through, and maybe we could have banded together. I don't know. But she ended up telling me that she had went through everything that I had went through. And he completely painted her to be this crazy woman that she was not. She was not crazy. She was the same woman as me, just wanted to love him, and he completely abused that and took advantage of that. we ended up finding out that he literally, right after me, ended up getting in another relationship and basically was doing the same thing to her. And for so long, I thought that it was my fault. But then especially hearing that he took his antics and just did it with someone else, you truly realize it's like, no, he's going to be who he is. He's a narcissist. He's an abuser. He's a bitch. And he's going to carry those traits into whatever relationship that he's in. There are so many times where I beat myself up because I wish I would have called the police. But there would be so many times when he'd be like, really, you're going to call the police and you're going to put another black man in jail? Like, you're going to make me be a statistic? But it's like, make you be a statistic. You're putting your hands on me. You're breaking mirrors. You're breaking laptops. You're breaking phones. You're breaking my heart. And you need to be in fucking jail. But I never called the police. And if I ever did call the police, I called them and then immediately hung up because I understood the severity of the situation. And especially, too, because we were so toxic. We would fight and then come back together. And there was always this part of me that knew, you're just going to go back to him. So why would you call the police? It's just going to make the situation even harder. Now you're going to bail him out because you know he doesn't have money. He takes your car, you know, like he's nothing without you. And I don't want to blow up his life. Like, it's sick. It is so sick. So ladies, if you see the signs, you need to realize that that's only the beginning. If he puts his hands on you, he could possibly kill you. If he yells at you, he could possibly put his hands on you. It is literally just, it is a downward spiral once you start that. And if you look at the signs and if you talk about what you're going through with other people, you could possibly avoid going through what me and millions of other women have possibly gone through. You know, it's fucked up because even after all of this, I still wish him the best. I still hope that he finds peace. And sometimes I wish that he would die. Not to be cynical, you know, but I just wanted to tell my story because you may never know who's out there and who may hear this and hear everything that I just talked about and realize that they're in the same situation and that they need to get out. But I also want to say that I am in a very healthy relationship. I'm in a very happy relationship with the man of my dreams. And I also want to just say that it does get better. If you want it to get better, it will get better. And it's really beautiful to know that even after all of that, I knew that I still want to love. And I know that there is someone who's going to treat me like a queen that's out there too. But also when we got out of a relationship, I was not ready for that. It took me 4 years to finally meet my boyfriend. And, you know, even if I did meet him right when I had gotten out of the relationship, I would have fumbled because I wasn't ready for him. I needed to be by myself because my ex-husband was all that I knew. I got married to him when I was 20 years old and we broke up a month before the pandemic. So, you know, and if anything, I look at the pandemic as a blessing because it gave me nothing but time but to sit and think and you know, basically build myself up again. I completely lost myself in that relationship and I needed to find Nastasia again. I needed to build my tribe. I needed to find my friends again. I needed to find the love that I had for myself and just dive into myself again. And those 2 years basically that we were in shutdown were some of the best years of my life. You know, I just talked to you guys about my American Idol journey, and that was in 2020. So I got out of that relationship in February, and then in 2020 I ended up making my dreams come true, getting that golden ticket right there. So even that, I was able to accomplish so many things because I was finally able to just focus on myself, be in relationships that are not toxic. There are definitely some things that I carry now in my relationship with the man that I'm with right now that I seek therapy for. And, you know, every day I'm trying to be the best version of myself because you truly don't realize how healed or not healed you are until you're faced with a good relationship, and then it starts making you think. I know I'm not perfect. He's not perfect either, but we love each other. And he has shown me what real love is. And even if we weren't gonna be together for the rest of our lives, I can go to sleep knowing that there is love out there, and what I experience is not the end. And if you're going through the same thing, it's not the end for you either. You just have to be brave enough to walk out. And I also want to say a tip about that too. There are a lot of situations where women have been killed because they finally decide to leave. The most scariest time for a woman in a domestic violent relationship is when they finally decide to leave. I feel like with narcissists, when they feel like they don't have a hold on you anymore, when they feel like they don't have that control over you, it's like literal, you're gonna be with me or nothing. So just be careful when you're finally making that transition into being single. Make sure you have your tribe. Make sure you have the people around you who are going to protect you and help you, especially if you have kids involved. I mean, I'm honestly so thankful that I didn't have kids with this person, because there's no way that I could have been able to co-parent with this person and have him in my life for the rest of my life after he literally just beat me into pulp. Like, so by the grace of God, I didn't experience that, but that's my story. And like I said, I wanted to share this because you may never know what someone else is going through. And I highly advise, if you heard this video and if you see anything that is remotely relatable, really look in the mirror and ask yourself those hard and uncomfortable questions, because you deserve to be here, and you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to love. And no one deserves to go through any of that. I wouldn't wish what I went through on my worst enemy, because it's not right. It's not right at all. So the beautiful thing about going through all of this is now it's made me the person that I am now. And I'm honestly thankful for going through something so traumatic very early in my life, because now moving forward, I have better discernment. I make better decisions. Of course, there are some days where I am in a really dark place and I'm depressed, and I have made mistakes and taken actions that aren't the best for me. But I'm strong, and I constantly talk myself through those dark moments, because I know who the real Nastasia is. And she is a beautiful, kind, loving, fun, driven, strong young woman. And if she could go through that and come out better and experience the love that she's experiencing right now, then so can you. So thank you guys so much for sitting here with me and listening. It was very hard to share my story, and it's very vulnerable. You know, you don't want people in your fucking business, you know, but I feel ready. And like I said, I turned 30 in April, and I honestly just want to look at my 20s as the time where I took chances, and if things came out good, then that's awesome. And then if things came out bad, that's awesome too. But life is a learning game. I've learned, and I'm proud of myself. And moving forward, all that I can do is just be the best version of myself, and just keep living life and keep loving and keep being me. So like I said, thank you guys so much for watching this. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you guys are always notified on when I upload. I upload every single Monday, and I upload shorts every single day. So until next time, y'all. Au revoir.
Where'd you go?